Like, it wasn't bad enough for the Green Bay Packers being without David Bakhtiari going into Atlanta on the road. Then early in the second quarter, you got Dillon losing his footing. One of the three times he does that, he rolls up in the back of Jenkins' knee, sprains his MCL. Not good news for the Packers, not good news for the organization or for Jenkins himself. But what does it mean for the Packers? So what now? Who's the next man up? All of that and more in this video. But before I get into it, guys, just subscribe. Take a second, just click the subscribe button. It means a lot to me. Anyways, so we're talking about the best left side offensive lineman in the league, I feel, when you're talking about Bakhtiari and Jenkins, right? So the best, but that's when they're healthy. And we haven't seen a healthy Jenkins and Bakhtiari since they were starters for the Pro Bowl in 2020, right? So that's a long time ago. You have Jenkins, who, is coming off of his torn ACL in 21. He took a bit, shake off the rust in 2022 to then feeling super optimistic, very healthy. You've got Bakhtiari, who seemed finally clear of all of his knee problems that have plagued him for the last couple of years. So he, doing a lot of off-season stuff, building up strength on his knee, all of that stuff, getting ready, being conditioned to then all of a sudden, what's the story there? So what does Matt LaFleur have to say about Bakhtiari? He says, I just think that's the kind of nature of the beast, and he'll probably be questionable all year. Doesn't make me happy hearing that. And here's why. I mean, when you're paying a guy as much as you're paying him, and then to say that, he's probably going to be questionable all year. And I get he's been plagued with injuries. I understand that. But they've already modified his practice, his practice schedule, and all of that stuff just to make sure and ensure that he is out on the football field. So for him to be questionable all year, it's super frustrating. He is going to be questionable all year, and then you've got all the question marks surrounding Bakhtiari. With, okay, did he just sit out that game because it was played on turf, and we all know what he feels about turf, especially with the Aaron Rodgers injury. He tweeted out, his opinion on turf, whether it's true or not. Regardless, we know that just the fact that there is all of this, we know that social media can just take things and spin it in a negative connotation. But the fact that this is out there looming about whether Bakhtiari is healthy, but just refusing to play because it's on turf is super frustrating. I don't think that's the case. I think Bakhtiari is such a great leader for this team. We all know what he means to any offensive lineman, especially the Packers. But the fact that that stuff is swirling out there, super frustrating. I think Matt LaFleur is getting super frustrated about it as well. But what does that mean for the Packers now that Jenkins is gone for 3, 4, maybe even more weeks? Let's take a look at just some front five suggestions that who was it? It was the Dairyland Express, Paul Brettel. He's the one who came out and said, okay, so here's with a healthy Bakhtiari in there. This is what it looks like. Bakhtiari, Royce Newman, Josh Myers, Runyon, and Zach Tom. Okay, so real quickly, I'm just going to interject real quick and just talk about Newman. So this is a Newman guy who's been very, unfortunately, unreliable. He's just not been consistent in his play. He did look good when he came into the game last game versus Atlanta, but you talk Sean Ryan looked better than him in training camp and in preseason. I know Sean Ryan's further down on the depth chart than Newman, but I would really hate to see Newman not perform well. Just with his inconsistencies, because I think that really changes the dynamics of everything going on. So without Bakhtiari in that list, he says Rasheed Walker, Royce Newman. Then you got Myers, Runyon, and Zach Tom. So real quickly, let's talk Rasheed Walker for a moment. So if you guys paid attention to when he came in and out of the game and was being subbed in and out with Bakhtiari not being there, that's a guy that can float. I've got big expectations of the Packers do for Rasheed Walker. Unfortunately, he missed a couple, so he had that 5-yard penalty for false start. And then he just totally had a missed assignment, which then led to a sack of Jordan Love. But I still think he ended up playing. So he ended up recovering, and that could have been nerves, but he ended up recovering pretty well. He played well the rest of the game. That being said, I think Rasheed Walker is a plug in somewhere on this list. But, anyways, let's go to the next set of combinations that he has. So he's got it with the healthy, mind you, this is with a healthy David Bakhtiari. So he's got Bakhtiari and Zach Tom. So Zach Tom playing left guard in this scenario, Josh Myers, Runyon, and then Yosh Nijman, which we all know Nijman has been, a question mark with his play. Rasheed Walker overtaking him and the depth chart, but they have him as a potential right tackle starter in this scenario. And without a Bakhtiari in there, they have Rasheed Walker, Zach Tom, Josh Myers, Runyon, and Nijman, which isn't a bad front five there. But let's look at scenario number 3. Scenario number 3, you've got this is, of course, with a healthy Bakhtiari, you've got Bakhtiari, Tom, Myers, Runyon, and Rasheed Walker. I personally like that one the best. I think that should be their front five that they go with without Jenkins being there, and then just float in Yosh Nijman when he's there. And then without a Bakhtiari there, you've got Walker, Tom, Myers, Runyon, and Nijman. That being said, guys, leave your comments. Let me know what you think the starting 5 should be without the likes of Jenkins being there. Let me know your thoughts. Super disappointing news that Jenkins is going to be out for a while. So it's the next man up type of mentality. Who is that going to be for the Packers? Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. I happen to think it should be that last one with Nijman and Rasheed Walker. Or if Bakhtiari's there, you've got Walker on the right tackle. Anyways, leave your comments. Go Pack.